Somewhere in a distant galaxy, a human thief, a green assassin, a vengeful idiot, a walking tree, and a talking raccoon with an attitude problem have reluctantly become the only force capable of thwarting an alien zealot's plot for global genocide. The beginning of one of Marvel Studios' most complete and rewatchable trilogies. This is Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre,
I'm Caleb Boucher.
and this is Filmgazm. Welcome to the Filmgazm podcast. In honor of the recent release of the franchise's third and likely final installment, we felt it was time to discuss the film that proved Marvel could turn virtually any of their properties into box office gold, 2014's Guardians of the Galaxy. So my question to you pretty much ties into our usual, where'd you first see this? When this first came out, were you apprehensive or were you sure it was going to be another hit? Because I know a lot of people were like, really? When the first trailer dropped, like talking raccoon, talking tree, is this really happening?
I was apprehensive mostly because I wasn't like super familiar with James Gunn's work at the time. So I was like, I don't know about this Marvel. Like, why are you doing this? The trailer looked good enough. I was like, this is probably gonna be a minor thing. I'm not really gonna give a shit about it. I'm gonna move on with my life. But you know, I have to see Marvel movies. Even though I've been, made my case known how I feel about them recently. I still see them in theaters because it's all connected, and I'll see what happens next. And so I was able to somehow convinced to do like a family outing. So like my entire family went to go see it. And I was like, okay, sweet. We're all gonna go see Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's hope this is even remotely good. And like many people, after seeing it in theater, I walked away completely like surprised and impressed and happy. I was like, wow, this was a lot better. And because of that, I kind of dug further into James Gunn's career and who he is and all that good stuff. Um, but yeah, I was quite apprehensive at first. I had me a little bit of faith. I'm like, it's Marvel. They haven't led me astray yet at this point in time. Uh, but really, but hey, I walked out happy. And like you said, now now here we are in 2023 with easily I think up there with Captain America, they're one of their best trilogies because I'll say it, they are not good at trilogies. I'll say it right fucking now. MCU, weakness, trilogies. Um,
They have
but
three
this is
great
one of the better
trilogies.
ones.
MCU's got three great trilogies. They've got Guardians, they got Captain America, and they got Spider-Man.
Yeah, yeah, because everything else, like Ant-Man's movies have been, they've been fun. I'm not gonna say they're like, oh my god. Uh, I've always thought the Iron Man sequels were inferior to fucking the first one. Thor obviously got a fourth film, so it started being a trilogy, and even then, I think in a weird Star Trekian way, their even numbered sequels are okay to bad, and their odd numbered movies are the good ones. Um, whereas that's turned out. The upcoming The Marvels, like I didn't really care for Captain Marvel all that much, so I'm not exactly like pounding at the door for this new one. So yeah, like this is literally one of the very rare, like you said, I agree with you. It's like this Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain America, and Spider-Man are like their most consistently good trilogies they've done. I think what they have in common is that they've let the directors do their damn thing in all three cases.
Yeah, Cap is weird because the first film's directed by Joe Johnston, and two and three are by the Russos, so you do have a change in director there, but it still works. Like there's still I don't know why a lot of people gave the first Captain America movie some shit. Like I don't I think it's great. I love the
I
first
I
Captain.
like it a lot. I like it a lot, but I do think the sequels with the Russo brothers outshine it completely.
They are better movies, but I Hugo Weaving's Red Skull is what sells it for me. I thought that was like some of the most perfect casting in the entire MCU. But I agree with you
Yeah.
that two and three are better movies.
No, and yeah, first one is a lot of fun. And Spider-Man to me just got better and better. And John Watts was like attached to all three films
Yeah.
as director, so that obviously helped. So and then yeah, James Gunn being tied to all three Guardians of the Galaxy, and as we talked about with third one with the whole history with that film, probably the most involved of all these guys, in that he actually wrote and directed all three movies. Thankfully, for the writer strike went down. Um, else we probably would be waiting on Guardians 3 a lot longer. Um, but there was an article where they said like the reason Guardians has flourished is because they let James Gunn basically just do his thing, and yeah, absolutely, it's a lot of these three trilogies you mentioned flourished because they let their directors do their thing. Or like in the case of the Russos, they were able to do their thing with Captain America while also maintaining bigger picture MCU stuff with Captain America movies that they were doing. Um, so yeah, it helps that I think the big thing across all three, obviously variations on their various trilogies, is that they let these guys do their damn thing, and it showed.
Well, that's what it is with it. Any good film production is just going to let the director and the writer make their vision. When the suits start stepping up and fucking with the production, regardless of what studio, you're going to end up with a steaming pile of movie.
Yeah,
Uh,
or a writer's strike. Take your pick.
or a strike that impacts everything creatively. So thanks for that. Um, I remember when Guardians the trailer came out, I was excited because with Marvel at that point, I was like, I was like Al Pacino in Heat, just like, give me all you got. Like I didn't care. And I'm still kind of like that to a lesser extent.
It's like a mountain of cocaine, but Marvel movies.
Ah, it's a drug that can't kill you. Um, but
Only disappoint.
aw, I was somewhat familiar with the characters because I was a fan of the animated series Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes that was on the Disney Channel at the time. And the
Mhm.
Guardians of the Galaxy showed up on that show, and I was like, these guys are cool. There's a big tree, there's a talking raccoon, that guy's green. I'm in. I like this. And then the trailer came out, and I hadn't watched Parks and Rec, so I didn't know who the hell Chris Pratt was uh, at the time.
Oh, I knew because I did watch Parks and Rec, so I knew who he was. I remember being like, really him? But yeah,
I've seen it since, and I love that show, but at the time I had not watched it. Uh,
good
but
show.
it's yeah, it was the whole time I'm watching it, I just kept thinking, this is your golden ticket. Like by making this a success, Marvel pretty much said anything goes. Anything we've got, we can make successful now that we've proven that we can do this. I kept thinking about Jeff Bridges and Iron Man, Tony Stark built this in a cave. Like I kept picturing like the DC, like the Warner Brothers people screaming that to the DC directors. Like Kevin Feige
And
built this with a box of scraps.
I
They're
feel
just
like what about how those roles reverse? Now it's gonna be like Feige looking at people like, what the fuck?
yeah.
And meanwhile,
Yeah,
James Gunn's like, look what I'm doing for DC over here.
yeah. I mean, Gunn learned, how to create a cinematic universe from Kevin Feige. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of animosity. But once the box office numbers start rolling in, which I think are going to be pretty good, there's going to be some sweating over at Disney.
Yeah. Well, and it's, I know some people are obviously worried because, there's now been a lot more than ever to talk about our comic book films dying. Because obviously Shazam flopped hard. And I remember they asked James Gunn before Guardians 3 came out, like, hey, what is your take on this? And basically he said yes and no. He goes, if you keep making the same generic superhero film that the audience has seen 100 times, of just be aka Shazam. He didn't say it, but I was thinking it. Um, he goes, then no, your movie's not going to connect. It's not going to do well at the box office. He goes, but if you make a film with characters that people care about and a story that gets people engaged, and it just happens to be a superhero film, also, you're still going to make money off them. There's no just seeing a superhero fatigue. People just want a good movie. And ultimately, is what he was getting at. And he's not wrong. I mean, look at last month Shazam 2 came out, which as I don't think you've seen it yet. I know it's on HBO Max. I don't know if you've got to watch it yet.
I have not.
Oh, I'm sorry, soon to just be Max. Um, but one of my criticisms was like what made the first one stand out, like the family dynamic that gave it a lot of heart and everything for it. was taken out in favor of the most generic. I've seen it 1,000 times at this point because we're well a decade over superhero shit.
Tell me this: was there a sky beam?
There was a sky force field.
I'll take
No,
it.
there was a sky beam. There was a sky beam to make the force field. That's right. Um,
Always in the
but
worst. Always a goddamn sky beam.
always. But because they made that move, that movie flopped. It's well known how bad that movie flopped.
Yeah.
And then obviously same with Black Adam before that. It was just a generic, like we've seen this 1,000 times, and it barely did good. Barely. But now, for those of you who haven't seen the box office take for Guardians 3, thanks to a film that, again, like James Gunn was saying, he gave us characters that we love, that we've grown with for years, and he gave us a story to get us engaged in, and these characters that we care about. And it did make money. It made 282 million. We'll probably keep on going. It says positive word of mouth on Rotten Tomatoes and Cinema Score. Like, so he literally just like proved himself right. Like, we have the film that clearly wasn't trying and it tanked hard. And in the film that you got from someone that is trying to like just make a good movie, regardless if it's a superhero film or not, and it made fucking money over its weekend.
During that interview where Gunn's like, if you're not trying, like if you're making just the same shit everyone's always watching and it's gonna tank. I keep picturing him saying that as he's like drinking from like a giant like movie theater cup with the Shazam poster on it. He's just like drinking from that.
I feel like he's looking at all the DC movies like, all right, Flash, Blue Beetle, Aquaman, let's just get this shit over with so my shit can come out and we can get this stuff back on track.
Yeah, you got to move out the old product before the new guy comes in and starts restructuring some shit.
Yeah, yeah. Meanwhile,
But
they're
he's
telling him
right.
like, look, say really nice things about the Flash. Say the best things you can about the Flash, please.
But he's totally right. Marvel has succeeded, with a couple speed bumps, admittedly, yeah, especially lately. But overall, the success of their films is due to the care they put into each film, to the characters, to the story, letting directors do their thing, hiring up and comers, hiring creatives. That's what they do. And I'll go back to the worst Marvel movie before I go back to like anything the DCEU gave me.
Yes. And I know I've made my complaints about like Marvel as of late numerous times, but to their credit, what I've been hearing, from a lot of inside reports. So take this with a grain of salt. I mean, none of this may be true, but it does seem true because of what we've kind of seen with the output. And this was pre-writer strikes. Right now, anything getting shut down is because of the writer strike. Don't let anyone else try to tell you otherwise. That's what's going on in Hollywood right now. Um, for all my complaints I've had recently, apparently to Marvel's and Disney's credit, they've taken the complaints with some kind of heart because there's been lots of rumors circulating that that's why they got rid of Chapek. He was forced to step down. Disney was like, Eyzaguirre, you need to come back into this and steer this ship right. And he came back as the head of Disney, and he's working with Feige. And Feige made the comment like, we are slowing down the amount of shows coming out this year, and the movies are even slowing. And this was before where I strike, the movies are slowing down. I know they reshuffled a lot of stuff. Obviously, Blade was a big one. That I think they were at Power Heads were trying to force a movie out of that apparently really bad script. And then when Eyzaguirre came in, Feige was able to get a say, it was like, we're not coming out with this. The script needs tightening up before we come out with this movie. So it sounds like they've taken it to heart what people were saying, and we're making the necessary steps to say, okay, we need to fix this because people are losing interest. We're hearing the complaints. We're seeing the box office intake on our own movies here. This needs to get fixed. They are trying much quicker than DC has tried. They're just now kind of trying. It took a whole merger for that shit to happen. So to Marvel's credit, I'll give them that much. It sounds like, yes, hey, we hear you. We're making the corrective actions. Obviously, the writer strike is going to affect some stuff now, but that is what it is.
Well, I'm just happy that they are aware of the problem and are actively trying to fix it. And Guardians 3 was really good, so that's a great step in the right direction. I'm excited about the Marvels. I'm willing to give that a shot. Marvel has entertained me so much over the past 15 years that I am pretty much willing to give them the benefit of the doubt every time.
Yeah, I mean, I'll still see the Marvels in theaters. Like, I see my Marvel movies in theaters. It's who I am. I do generally hope it's better. It does look more fun than the first one, but there's just that baggage. Like I just really did not enjoy the first one all that much.
Well, I don't think it's amazing, but I did think it was okay. I liked Captain Marvel.
I'm
But
glad
that's
you
not
did.
what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy, which everyone pretty much did not expect to be as great as it was. So let's talk about how this thing got made. Guardians was the 10th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was co-written and directed by James Gunn, who brought a sort of outlaw charm to a group of characters many thought were unfilmable and would never be household names.
That's kind of crazy. I think the 10th film at the time. Like, what movie are we on now? Like 20, almost 30, I think.
Uh, let's find out. Guardians
I
3.
think we're about to hit the 30th like film, not counting the fucking MCU shows.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume
Movies.
3 is the 32nd film in the Marvel
Oh,
Cinematic
we're
Universe.
past 30.
God
Jesus.
damn. That's beautiful.
Woo. Well, yeah, okay. Oh, God, what humble beginnings, 10th film. And yeah, James Gunn, I know we talked about that. He has a knack for taking characters that people say are unfilmable and you can't love and saying, I can film them and I can make you love them. You watch that talking raccoon is gonna be one of your favorite characters.
Yeah, this part 3 was his movie. But it just speaks to Gunn's talents as a filmmaker that he can take, D-list characters who had maybe 2 appearances in a comic book and turn them into superstars who are well-written, well-rounded characters because he's good at making well-written, well-rounded characters. He's just a very good
Yeah.
writer.
Yeah, and he's done it for both DC and Marvel because he did it for the Suicide Squad. Like the guy's pulled it off from both brands.
Yeah, he's the unifier. He's what we all thought J.J. Abrams would be with Star Wars and Star Trek. No, James Gunn. That's who we can all back. He's proved himself many times.
Yes, he's also done by far the best fucking TV thing they ever did, other than Werewolf by Night with the holiday special. So even on the TV front, he is kicking ass at that. He's like, no. Just one episode, one and done holiday special. That's all you need.
Yeah. I'm so excited to see his take on Superman. He was talking about like how he sees Superman, and it was perfect. It was exactly what I see Superman as. He said Superman has to be, welcoming, has to be like you have to want to give him a hug.
Give him a hug.
Like he's this power, like this force of nature who's also just there to help. Kansas farm boy first, omnipotent God second, and no one else has ever pulled that off apart from the cartoon. I think like Gunn's going to do this.
Yeah, because he gets the character. Unlike Zack Snyder, he's like Jesus, and then that's like as far as his mind fucking went.
Yeah. Kneel before Christ L. Oh God.
God.
Yeah, hopefully we don't have to deal with that anymore. Those movies can go away.
What's great is that like as the time has gone on, the Snyder fanboys have gotten like more and more defeated and less vocal, and it's beautiful.
They're like the QAnon of the comic book community. They're like, Snyder's coming back. The code, it's right there. He made a deal with Netflix. If you just read the code here and you put it in a mirror and you multiply it by 6, it says he's going to be back in 2025. It's right there. You people sound insane.
They do, because he's clearly working on this thing called Rebel fucking Moon that Netflix has been very open about. And also building out the shitty Army of the Dead universe. Yeah, come at me for all those who are like, how did you not like that movie? It was fucking stupid and too goddamn long. I don't need more. I've had people really be like, how do you not like Army of the... I didn't. It was a dumb movie. I hated every fucking 2.5 hours of it.
Because you're into horror movies, therefore you must love every horror movie.
That's usually the mindset a lot of people have. It's like, oh, you love horror, so you must like all the horror. I'm like, no, there've seen some shitty ones I don't like and I don't go back to.
Yeah. I get that with comic book movies because I like a lot of them. So I've had people be like, you didn't like that one? I thought you liked comic book movies. And I'm like, I like good movies. Like, that's what I look for. Genre doesn't matter to me. I want a good movie.
Oh, I love when people are just like, "Oh, you're a movie buff. You must like all movies." I'm like, "No, I've seen bad ones I don't like. I've seen ones I'm not going back to anytime soon."
I always like to be like, "What's your favorite movie?" And they name it, and I'm like, "Yeah, I hate that one." Even if I love it, be like, "No."
I just, I just had someone I won't name them in the horror in the group chat I'm in. Talk about he brought like this lady he's been dating, and she was like, okay, because he's like most of us has made known he's a horror fan, so he's like, hey, a day I know was come to his place, watch a horror film, one of his favorite being Hellraiser, so he was going to show her Hellraiser. She agreed to it, and apparently she like nitpicked the whole thing, was talking during the movie, and finally said, so that was a bad movie, right? And yeah, yeah. And then he tried being reasonable. Was like, well, no, it's like keep in mind it's my favorite film and from 1987. Like, this is what they made on like a $1 million budget, like blah blah blah. And she's like, yeah, but huge chunks of the plot were missing, and the special effects were terrible. All the effects were terrible. And he was just like looking at her, and apparently he ended by saying she suggested, since you clearly like bad movies, I'll pick a movie for the next one for the next date. And he ended with there was no date. There was no next date. And I'm like, I
Wow.
respect that. If someone look, I understand four movies on your cup of tea. I get it. But if anyone ever did something like that to me, I'd be like, look, there's a line. You know what I mean? Like there's a fine line where it's like, okay, this is cut off. I'm like, no, because I'm not going to hear you fucking do this shit to me every fucking movie I watch.
You know where I stand on a lot of horror films and what I like, what I don't like. Hellraiser's pretty good. So I don't get that. Like,
I don't get that. I'm like, Hellraiser was a good one.
yeah. Show her tourist trap. Watch her have a fucking aneurysm.
Look, in case anyone in that group chat listens to this, I say show her a Serbian film and see how long she lasts.
Oi, just go
Then
straight
she
into
really won't fucking.
just hold her head underwater in the deep end until the bubbles stop.
I think that would be my go-to. Like, oh, you want to act like this? Okay, okay. You know what? I will pick a better movie. I promise you, you'll like this one, and I'll pick something like Martyrs, fucking Serbian film, Cannibal Holocaust, Sadness. I'll find something. And I'll be like, Hugh, let's see how long you last now.
God damn. Oh, well, that was unpleasant. Oh boy.
But yeah, look, dating advice for those of you who are movie buffs. It's okay to like the type of movies you like, and you don't have to settle just because you think you're lonely. Integrity. They act like that. It's okay to dump them and move on.
Okay. Uh, let's talk about the origins of the Guardians in terms of comic. I have nothing to say to that. I don't know where to go from there.
That said, things are going great in my personal life with that. Things are going fantastic. So
Yeah. Does she like Hellraiser?
I haven't asked, but she likes Joe Bob Briggs. That's huge. That's a huge win in my book.
Yeah. Hold on to this one. Uh, Guardians of the Galaxy was first published in 1969 in Marvel Superheroes number 18. The first roster was Vance Astro, Martin X, Charlie 27, and Yandu Udanta. We never saw Vance Astro, but the end of part two, Martin X and Charlie 27 are floating around Yandu's funeral, along with Starhawk and some other people. But they never did Vance Astro. Never got to see him in the movies. He's like a future Captain America kind of guy. He's got the shield for some reason. I don't know. I had a trading card of him when I was a kid.
Okay. It's always fun going down like the weird heroes that these comics come up with. You're like, they're clearly high or something when they came up with this. Well, they were just out of ideals.
Well, every week it was we need a new one. Every single week we need a new one. You know, you couldn't just keep publishing X-Men. People needed something else. So there's so many really ridiculous characters out there in every comics company because they had to fill paper. They had to keep cranking them out. There was no wait time. Like you didn't have time to come up with something neat. You came up with like Frogman and some shit because you had a deadline.
Yeah,
Sometimes
right?
you got lucky with
Sure.
like Spider-Man, but most of the time,
Yeah.
no, not really.
Nope. Sure, Condiment King. Yeah, he's a villain that uses condiments. Just fuck it, all right?
I guarantee you that guy came up with that at lunch while he's eating a hot dog and realized, oh shit, deadline's in 10 minutes. Uh, uh, Ketchup, mustard, gun, uh, condiment guy. No, King, condiment king. All right, give me a pen. And that's how we got that character. I guarantee you that's how that happened.
I'm still waiting for the gritty reinterpretation of Condiment King. Still standing by.
We kind of got it in the Batman animated series.
Oh yeah, that's right, didn't we?
Yeah, it was like some guy was, I think Mad Hatter was like turning regular people into shitty supervillains to distract Batman. And one of them was the Condiment King.
I want
I
to
think
see
one of
Matt Reeves just take him.
Oh, me too. That would be sweet.
He should do that. Like he announces, like he's been talking about all these super big villains, like Doctor Freeze and fucking Quarter Alice, and really in reality, his next villain will be Condiment King, but like a super gritty Matt Reeves take on it.
Like cast like somebody super serious, like Adam Driver or somebody to be like, just this city took everything from me, and now I'll take everything from them. It's just he's putting on
one
like
one condiment at a time.
This city will never catch up with me. Oh my god. I will relish this victory. Oh man. Oh. Has he popped up on Harley Quinn yet?
Oh god. I don't think so, no.
That'd be the best spot for him. I mean, they made Kite Man a legitimate character, so yeah.
Yeah. He's supposed to get Cartman's supposed to get a spinoff, but who fucking knows what if that's happening or not.
Yeah, anything's pretty much up in the air right now. Uh,
Yeah.
so the original roster of the Guardians, they were a group of superheroes in the 31st century who just got into all sorts of space shenanigans. Sometimes they'd go into, time portals and end up fighting with Thor on Earth in the 60s or the 70s, and then end up back in space in the future. After getting its own series, Guardians of the Galaxy was canceled after only 12 issues due to poor sales. So didn't take that first one. The team made guest appearances in more popular comics like Thor, Miss Marvel, and the Avengers. Be like, guest starring the Guardians of the Galaxy, and everyone be like, who?
Can you even get those 12 issues now? Well, I'm sure you can now.
I bet they're like, rare collectibles, probably.
I'm honestly, I wonder if they have like a collected like trade. I know a lot of comics like to do that with their older like runs of comics. They'll do like trade paperbacks of those specific years.
Oh, I'm sure they did. When the Guardians movie was a huge success, I'm sure they reprinted the backlog. I know a lot of this stuff's digitized on like Marvel's comic archives. You can go there and read comics. I don't
Yeah,
want to, because every old comic I read, it turns out to be absolutely fucking ridiculous.
I've thought about doing that. Like, that'd be probably my reason to get like a Kindle is to get like the DC like and Marvel like comic thing where I could just read their old ass comics online on like a Kindle real quick. Just flip through the pages
That'd be fun.
digitally. Yeah.
Do you know why in the original run of Superman, Lex Luthor hated Superman?
Why?
Because in an industrial accident, Superman made him bald.
Oh my god.
That was Lex Luthor's original motivation for wanting to kill Superman and take over Metropolis.
I'm really glad we changed that over the years.
Yeah, sometimes it's all. You ever seen the Thanos copter?
Nope.
Yeah, he had his own like escape chopper. He'd be like, "Curses! I'll be back up next time, Avengers," and he'd get in his helicopter, fly away. It said Thanos on the side.
Woo,
My
old
my,
comics.
my favorite panel from an old comic to date is Thanos getting arrested by the NYPD.
No fucking way.
It was like in the mid 70s. I don't know what issue it was. The Avengers defeated Thanos, the space god who nearly destroyed the universe. And since he's a bad guy, so the NYPD have him in cuffs and they're leading him into a squad car. I guess he's gonna do 25 to life at Rikers.
But Thanos learned a lesson that day. You don't fuck with the NYPD.
Oh man, I recommend looking up the panel because just seeing Thanos in fucking handcuffs with two cops being like, thanks, Thor, we got it from here. It's so funny. So the series was revived in the late 80s to cash in on the popularity of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Everyone was like, space is fun again. And Marvel's like, hey, we got space shit, right? From re-release the 60s thing, that Guardians of the Universe or whatever it was. And this run of the comic lasted until 1995. So again, people were like, yeah, shut it down. They couldn't make this work.
And it's gone.
Yeah, the longevity of the Guardians did not match X-Men, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Captain America, these like mainstays. The Guardians of the Galaxy were always, trying to catch up, but could never even get in the race.
Slowly, this executive just tired and just like, Jesus Christ, shut this thing down. We tried once, it didn't work. I told you guys it was going to work the second time.
There's so many failed series where they were like, the next great Marvel hero, and it lasts like 10 episodes or 10 issues, and then they're like, we got to shut this down. Like there's Khazar, the Jungle Man, or something like that. I have a couple issues of that I had from a comic collection I used to that I found in the basement.
I don't know why this made me think of Kraven the Hunter. I think it's because you said Jungle Man. I just 1 + 1 = 3. Am I right? Now, did you hear that we might be getting it? That movie might be rated R.
I heard it was pretty definite at this point. Like they showed footage.
Or it is going to be rated R. Yes, the footage was gory as fuck. That just made me 10 times more excited for this movie. Bring on the R-rated superheroes, guys. All right, Marvel, I know you're doing it. You had that F-bomb in Guardians 3. Bring on the R rating. Give me some fucks. Give me some violence. Show me the naked bodies. Let's do it.
Well, I heard that the bad guy is going to be the Rhino, but he's going to be like a genetically modified, like Rhino human being guy, not Paul Giamatti in a robot suit.
I mean, yeah, I would hope.
I think it'll be, it might be interesting until Morbius shows up in the end credits scene and is like, hey, you want to help us take down Spider-Man, apparently? And Kraven's like, who's Spider-Man? Because they always forget that little chestnut. There's no Spider-Man in this universe.
I really, really hope they're just finally like, I really hope like Disney wins. I want Disney to be like, stop. Just stop it. It's not happening. We have Spider-Man. You don't. Enough. Not happening.
We made the Sinister Six movie. We did, and everyone loved it. They didn't love it because of you. They loved it because of us. So just sit down and take your goddamn medicine. I want Disney to pull rank. They got to start pulling rank with Sony. Sony's getting out of hand. Disney needs to, take out the riding crop and show them who's boss.
You can be like, Sony, you're not getting a Sinister Six movie. It's not happening. Stop even trying.
Who are they going to fight? Venom? That might be cool.
Only if I get the song that Eminem did for the movie Venom. So as they're fighting him, all you hear is Venom. Gotta get them with them.
That was terrible.
Whatever the fuck he says. I just know he keeps going a lot in the song.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Hope the mic picked it up.
Oh, it did. It did.
For those who are wondering, and if you haven't heard the song, listen to Venom by Eminem, and you know what I'm saying on how he says it. It's kind of funny. Good song, but funny.
It's a pretty big hit. I think everyone knows Venom.
Yeah, I would hope, unless you're living on a rock and you don't know who the real Slim Shady is. And if not, you better stand up.
Oh my God. In 2008, the series was rebooted again with a new roster. Star-Lord, Rocket Raccoon, Groot, Phyla Vel, Gamora, Drax the Destroyer, and Adam Warlock. This is more or less the comic that the movie was based on, minus a few members who wouldn't appear until the third film. Adam Warlock and Phyla Vel show up in part 3. Phyla Vel is the silver-haired little girl that joins the team towards the end of the movie.
Okay, I gotcha.
And we all know Adam Warlock now.
Yes, we do. Hopefully, since I'm sure he'll be in more MC stuff going forward, we'll get a better version of him going forward.
I hope so,
No
because
offense,
his like his in the comic, he's got like an evil dark half that manifests as its own character, and that guy's like super powerful and like wants to conquer the universe. So maybe they'll do something with that.
Yeah. Yeah, no shade to gun there. That was my one minor gripe was Adam Warlock and Guardians 3.
We just released a little mini episode on our thoughts on Guardians 3, so you can go check that out for a more in-depth analysis of that film. So this team of Guardians first appeared in Annihilation Conquest number 6, a popular crossover event with many Marvel characters. They do those things all the time, Secret Wars, Civil War, whatnot. And finally, people were like, I kind of like these guys. And the 08 Guardians stuck around. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige announced that production on Guardians of the Galaxy had begun in 2012. And everyone was kind of like, really? Okay. You just made the Avengers. You're going to follow that with Guardians of the Galaxy?
This is what we're doing? All right.
I mean, it worked out. I think if we never had Guardians, we never would have gotten, Ant-Man and the like.
Someone in that audience went, just, well, fuck me, right? This is what we're doing after Avengers. Fucking a really embittered guy that just hated the last two runs of Guardians was like, fucking hell.
Can you imagine at Comic-Con 2012, they had, Feige's announcing the upcoming slate, and he's like, we're doing Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and everyone's like, woo! It's like, we got an Ant-Man movie coming out, woo! And they go, and we're doing Guardians of the Galaxy, and there's like a 3-second pause, and all of a sudden everyone's like, boo! They start pelting Feige with popcorn and shit. They're like, no! They just turn incredibly hostile.
How dare you! Don't you do this to us!
There's some guy rushing the stage, being held back by security. He's like, you son of a bitch! You son of a... he wants to kill him. Yeah, that would not have been great.
No.
But it would be hilarious.
It's a funny thing to think about.
Oh, but it worked out. So I got some casting what ifs here. Before Chris Pratt got the role of Star-Lord, other actors who tested for the role were Joel Edgerton. I can see him doing it.
I could too.
He'd be a bit more serious. Jack Houston, Jim Sturgis, Eddie Redmayne, and Lee Pace, the latter of whom ended up being cast as the villain, Ronan the Accuser, but he first tested for Star-Lord. And this was
interesting.
This next bit of knowledge. Oh my God. If Pratt said no, Gunn's second choice was Glenn Howerton. Dennis Reynolds could have been Star-Lord.
I could actually see him in that role too, actually.
That would have been awesome. We might have missed out.
Golden God.
He's the golden god gets to be a celestial. That would have been cool.
Yeah, we probably would have.
We might have missed out on some good episodes of the show, though. But I don't know. Maybe it would have evened out at the end.
Yeah, that's interesting. Speaking of which, God, I cannot wait till the new season next month. I'm so happy about that.
Yeah. Counting down.
Yeah, it's tough because I love him in Always Sunny, and I don't want to see him go until the show's over. But at the same time, I absolutely could see him playing this role other than Chris Pratt, 100%.
Yeah, so could I. I think that would have been really cool. Before Dave Bautista got the role of Drax, other actors considered were Brian Patrick Wade, Isaiah Mustafa, and Jason Momoa.
I don't think Momoa would have shaved his head.
Yeah, Batista was just too good. He was perfect for that role.
Oh, he was great. he was. He's great. I mean, he's great in every time he's in this role. I know he's been kind of very like open about, leaving the character, but I saw someone we talked about like how he didn't really have a chance to say goodbye on the last day of filming because he went to go film Knock at the Cabin. So it was like literally as soon as he got done playing tracks, he said he had to get on a plane and go so he go film Knock at the Cabin. But you talked about like how he's treading the red carpet because he knows that's when all the emotions are probably going to come up. And sure enough, they're like, "Are you okay?" Because he was kind of taking pauses. And he's like, "I'm kind of feeling it now, honestly, now that I'm talking about it." So I know obviously he's been very open about like I'm ready to like leave this role behind me, but you can tell like he has appreciation for this role, and I think appreciation for the fans more than anything.
And Gunn's totally going to take him with him for DC. He'll be somebody.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, God. I will miss him as Strax. He's so good in these movies.
The
Second
film's
friend,
yeah, second
second
best.
best friend.
I have mastered the art of standing perfectly still so as to be invisible.
Hey Trax,
Damn it.
hey Trax, damn it! I wanted a Zog. Well, that's too bad because I ate them all. She's eating them.
He was fantastic. The film's
Oh, he was
soundtrack,
so
which is comprised almost entirely of 60s and 70s hit singles, reached the top of the Billboard 200 charts, becoming one of the few soundtracks in history to do so. Whole new generation got introduced to all these awesome old songs, and Awesome Mix Volume 1 charted, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah. It again, another aspect of Gunn, he is really good at picking music for stuff. It was evident in this in Peacemaker and Suicide Squad. The guy knows how to like pair music with what's going on screen. So he's one of his strong suits. And yeah, I mean this it's always nice when you say like, a movie soundtrack or a movie song chart the Billboard like this one, or a very recent example was the Peaches song by Jack Black from Mario like charted the Billboard, and I was like, fuck yeah, it did. That's Jack Black, god damn it. Like you do not deny Jack Black that kind of honor. Um so it's always nice when this happens, especially when it's like, involving people you like in the
True.
industry.
I remember reading somewhere, I don't know if this is true. It sounds like it might be true, but that like the majority of the Awesome Mix Volume 1 came from a mixtape that Michael Rooker had in his truck.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that sounds right. I believe that.
Something just tells me that's right.
Yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy has an IMDb score of 8.0, which is fucking awesome. That, to hit the eights on IMDb is pretty good. Rotten Tomatoes score
Now,
of 92%. And again, like fantastic. Critics
high
consensus.
praise with the
That's high praise. Critics consensus reads Guardians of the Galaxy is just as irreverent as fans of the frequently zany Marvel comic would expect, as well as funny, thrilling, full of heart, and packed with visual splendor. I agree, Rotten Tomatoes. I agree. Very zany.
Yeah, actually, no. I like the visual spin. No one talks about that with these movies like that. James Gunn, visually speaking, makes these films fucking pop. All three of them with the shit he puts on the screen.
Oh yeah, there's new worlds and new ways of looking at things in all three films. Like nothing ever feels like duplicated or gimmicky. It's always new, like the fucking flesh office in part three.
Yeah,
Like what? Who could conceive of something that fucking crazy other than James Gunn?
yeah, exactly. You're not on a private net, right? We can all hear that, and it was painful.
The film was a colossal hit, grossing 773 million on a budget of 170 million. It was nominated for 2 Oscars: Best Makeup, which it lost to the Grand Budapest Hotel, and Best Visual Effects, which it lost to Interstellar.
Okay.
I can kind of understand Interstellar, but Grand Budapest, like winning makeup over this. I mean, did they see Drax and Gamora?
No, what they saw was a comic book movie and went, no.
Yeah, you're right.
And then they saw James Gunn's filmography pre this, and they went, Trauma, Slither. Oh God, no! Stay away!
Unclean. It spawned 2 highly successful.
Was fucking
What?
So all they saw was Romeo and Juliet. And he immediately went, no, 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 no trauma around here. No, 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 no.
God, they're such assholes sometimes. So it spawned 2 highly successful sequels, a holiday special, brought a squad of Marvel D-listers straight to the A-list, proved to audiences everywhere that Marvel could turn any of their characters into highly profitable franchises, which they again proved with Ant-Man and Shang-Chi, among others. Eternals didn't really work out, but we don't talk about that.
I'll say up until Eternals, they had a good track record with this.
There's more good than bad in the MCU. We'll say that.
Yeah. And they really were hoping Eternals was going to be like the next big one to take off. And oh boy.
Well, maybe don't make it so goddamn boring. That's just my opinion.
Now that, ladies and gentlemen, when I mentioned that story about the supposedly bad horror film, which Hellraiser is not, that is to me a bad movie. When it's boring, when I am bored and like, you're a bad movie. When I'm watching Morbius and it's only an hour and 40 fucking minutes long, and I'm fighting sleep because it's so goddamn boring, you got yourself a bad movie.
Yeah, I've watched 3.5-hour epics that were completely engaging. You can have a brisk long movie, or you can have a dull short movie. It's all about pacing. It's all about keeping an audience entertained. I chiefly believe that being boring is a cardinal sin for a film.
Yeah, absolutely. Boring is And now with that said, with these run times, movies, let's take a page book out of the month of April. Give me more hour-and-a-half long movies, because that was a beautiful, beautiful month of the movies.
Yeah, shorten it a little bit. It's too long. It's too long. It's gonna hurt us. We need something shorter.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to how long we'll be in theaters total by the end of June, but how long those movies are going to be, then I'm saying.
Martin Scorsese's got one coming out in September, October, called Killers of the Flower Moon. 3 hour and 26-minute runtime.
I say this as someone that likes quite a bit of Scorsese myself. I know obviously you love him more than me. And I do want to see this movie because I like the cast, I like the idea, I like the story, all that stuff. Sounds entertaining to me. I'm not seeing that shit in theaters. I will wait. I will fucking wait. Sorry, Scorsese. I'm waiting. I'm not watching this 3 hour and 20-minute movie film in the theater. It's not happening.
Well, I don't want to have to take like 3 bathroom breaks in one movie.
Yeah. I'm like, guys, and I remember that was Cameron's thing when someone's like, well, what about the bathroom? He's like, why do you need a bathroom break? Basically, I'm like, because I'm a human being that needs a fucking bathroom break. How about you make your film shorter so I don't have to worry about the fucking bathroom?
Have you seen Kindergarten Cop?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love Kindergarten Cop. It's a great movie.
Just made me think of Arnold when he's like, there is no bathroom. Like when he's trying to discipline the kids. Like I can picture Cameron screaming that at an audience.
You watch my movie. I raised the bar.
Okay. Let's give this movie some awards.
That's it. Also, that's it. Have I seen Avatar 2 yet? God no. Still waiting on Disney Plus. Suck it, Cameron.
I did see it at the movies.
I'm watching it the way he doesn't want me to, because apparently if you've seen the first one not in theaters, you haven't seen the movie, which was one of the most asinine comments I read.
I wish I had that kind of arrogance, that kind of confidence to be like, my shit is the greatest shit on the planet, and if you don't get that, fuck you. Like, I wish I had that.
Jesus.
Oh, okay.
God.
We've got the Quentin Tarantino Award for the best line of the movie, the Thomas Newman Award for the best music moment, the Philip Seymour Hoffman Award for the best performance, and the John Carpenter Award for the best scene. So let's start out with the Tarantino, the best line. What do you got?
I had one line, it was one of the more deeper lines when Thanos and Ronan are talking when you kind of first see Thanos on screen. I actually forgot about that. I was like, oh shit, that's right. Thanos is in this movie because we were getting ready to introduce like our big bad finally. Um, but I didn't go with it. It was when Thanos is talking about like, if you fail me again, you know about I'll empty his blood and all that shit. And like the big long speech he says there is just like, oh shit, this guy's on to be trifled with. But then I couldn't help myself. I picked a funny comment made by Rocket. It was in the trailers and I forgot about it until I was watching it. I was like, God, this joke still lands. And it's when they're as a team coming up with a plan to save Nova Corps and or Xandor, whatever the fuck the plan was called. And and they're all standing up after they've agreed to the plan. And Rocket, to break the tension, we're all standing up now. A bunch of jackasses standing in a circle. It's a quick throwaway line, but it cracks me up every time because it's just James Gunn being James Gunn and poking fun at these kind of moments in films. Everyone has a big rousing speech and like, I stand by you, you're heroic. And, everyone stands up. And then to deflate that, you just have Rocket Raccoon saying something to completely deflate the situation that causes a hell of a laugh.
Yeah, Gunn's really great at comedic jabs at expected tropes, and Rocket breaks those a lot. Good pick. I have two that I'm wrestling with. I'm ultimately going to go with the shorter one, which is from Drax. It's very simple. Do not ever call me a thesaurus. It's
I wrote that down.
So offended. Gamora calls him a thesaurus, and he's like, "How dare you?"
Oh, dude, Dave Bautista has so many great lines. One thing I had, another one I had written down and go with was like when they talk about they're explaining his type of people and how he takes everything literally. And his response, nothing goes over my head. My reflexes are too fast and I will catch it.
That was a great one. The one I almost went with is when it's from Roman Day, played by John C. Reilly. When Star-Lord calls him to let him know they're coming, and he tells John C. Reilly, he says, he's not 100% a dick. And Nova Prime says, do you believe him? And he goes, well, I don't believe anyone is 100% a dick, ma'am. I love that so much. Like the idea of like just somebody who's just nothing but douchebag. Like there's no redeeming qualities at all. Just a horrible human being.
Basically the cast of Always Sunny. Glenn Howerton, look at that.
Yeah, they're 100% dicks.
Yeah, I did like the follow up to that when like they joined the fight, and then Chris Pratt, he got my dick message.
Yeah, there's a lot of great lines in this. We're gonna go a little bit more dramatic. There's always "We are Groot." It's always great.
Oh yeah, like I said, that scene when like Thanos like kind of announces himself is a really fucking good line. You go, oh shit.
Yeah.
And like,
well, Ronan's introduced as, the big dick in the locker room. He's the guy who the Kree fear, who's the Nova Corps fear. He's this religious zealot who will kill anything that gets in his way of cleansing the universe. And then Thanos verbally bitch slaps this guy who says, you bore me. You're like a pouty child. Go get my stone and shut the fuck up. Like, I love that. It's a great way to set up Thanos as this like otherworldly, way above this petty squabble fight kind of guy who's just, playing his own game in his own head, waiting for the right moment. And eventually we get that right moment. And goddamn, was it a glorious 2-part movie that Marvel will never top.
No, they're trying. They almost they had a chance, and then certain someone with his personal life decided to really fuck that up.
Apparently, there's a whole bunch of fans who want the High Evolutionary to just play the play Kang now and have it be
I'd be down for that. He's really good.
yeah, have it be re-explained that he was a variant.
Yeah, I'd be down with that. I really like I said, High Evolution is not like the all time best Marvel villain, but like he was really good in that role and creating just a sadistic, evil fucking person. I'd be
Well,
down seeing him as
well, there's precedent that not all variants look alike, with Loki and with Spider-Man, so they don't all have to look like Jonathan Majors. Maybe that Kang looked like Jonathan Majors, but real Kang looks like Chuck Woody Awuji. Nothing wrong with that.
yeah,
I mean, I
they
don't
could
know.
get away with it.
Yeah, they could easily get away with. Really, like it's the perfect character to recast if they have to.
Yeah, I know. Feige probably isn't even actually sweating. He's like, well, we'll handle it. It's fine. It's fine. I got a plan.
Yeah, he's got plan. We've seen with the pandemic that he had plans coming out his ass. Like he knew what to do in any possible situation. So I'm sure lead villain beating the shit out of his girlfriend is probably plan Q.
I would love if Mom was like, "Do you really have a plan?" He just pulls his fucking drawer and like a pinpoint specific plan for this scenario. And they just look at him like, "This is terrifying."
Yeah, plan 00 right here. Jonathan Majors goes off the rails. Can no longer play Kang. Right here. Here's the list of second runner ups. I got Terrence Howard on speed dial. We're gonna do this. I promised him another chance eventually.
Oh, well, what if he asks for too much money? He immediately goes back to the file. Got a plan for that. Don't worry. If Terrence Howard gets a second chance and asks for too much money, well, once again, right here.
He wouldn't make that mistake a second time. He immediately makes that mistake. All right. Plan 001. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, I believe that. I think he's got contingency plans for any possibility with this level of cinematic universe at the 30-second film in, like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
The Thomas Newman Award, Best Music Moment. Great soundtrack, a lot of cool things to pick from. Great score too by Tyler Bates. So what'd you go with?
Oh, this was hard because and Tyler Bates, I've got how prolific this guy is as a composer. You see his name pop up in a lot of shit. Um, but the one I went with ultimately was the Hooked on the Failing moment when they're getting like inducted into like prison. It was a toss between that or the opening. We come and get your love when he's like dancing before he gets like the orb because that's just a perfect way to introduce Star Lord. Um, but this one's like our first time seeing a very core chunk of the team together as they're getting ready for prison and stuff like that. And obviously with the obligatory show, Chris Pratt fresh off his Andy weight, looking all ripped and shit for the ladies. And guys, 2023. So for all those who enjoy, get that obligatory scene, and yeah, you get this really catchy song in as it plays. So yeah, I kind of went with this one because it was tough, but this was the one I'm landed on after much deliberation.
Very nice. I like in that scene where Star Lord loses his shit, where the guy steals his Walkman because he's like, that's all I've got. Like, give it back.
Yeah.
That song belongs to me. I love that.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Was a good choice. Come and Get Your Love is great. Endgame kind of ruined it when you just realize he's just dancing around to nothing. Like
Oh yeah.
Out. Everyone's just so he's an idiot. Like I love that.
Oh yeah, when the are just watching him like.
I went with Moon Age Daydream by David Bowie when we first go to Nowhere.
Oh, okay.
I love that song, and it really kind of turns this into like a space opera, literally going inside a celestial's head, which has become like a marketplace for, shady shit that's run by the Collector. It just seems so,
Which
sci-fi.
I completely forgot about that's how Nowhere starts. I'm used to like what it is now, obviously in the timeline of MCU and Guardians, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. It was shady until they kind of took it over and made it a much better place.
Yeah, once the Collector got forced out, yeah, it's kind of like Tortuga in the Pirates franchise now.
Yeah, so it's a fun place to be now. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
nowhere is for
no, that's a
kids.
good. Yes, that was a good choice. Like I said, this movie is really like Gunn just knows how to use music. What is works, what is movies and shows. Yeah, that's a good one too. And actually, when you mentioned space opera, I forgot that technically the third one, for those who saw it on Thursday night, May the Fourth be with you. You saw Guardians of the Galaxy on Star Wars Day, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm proud of all of us that did it that night.
Pretty sweet. That's awesome. Uh yeah, really cool. I love the Guardians theme that Tyler Bates made. Very much, very heroic, but also kind of like they might steal your shit after they save you.
Yes, very. They're heroic, but there's a little unsavory at the same time.
Yeah. Which is good, good. You can't if your heroes are all so, lily white, shit's gonna get boring.
Yeah, I
Uh,
do like though they have their moments when you see them at our properties where they're even looking at them like, why would you do that? Even they have their line of like, no, we don't do that. No.
I love Rocket's obsession with stealing people's prosthetics. He just finds it hilarious. That's such a great character trait.
I like when like Peter gets that leg. First, I love the scene where he's just saying he goes like, I'm going to need your leg. Like
I love they
awkwardly
don't show that.
asking
They just show
for
the
it.
guy being like, "You need my what?" Because that's such a
Yeah.
strange question to ask.
Yeah. And I like how when he shows him, he's like, you really got it? Yeah. He's like, I didn't actually need it.
Oh, I
I like
hope
how
that
in the sequels they know now.
yeah.
So Peter's always telling people like, no, don't give him that. Don't do it. He's kidding.
I hope that in the next, I think Captain America: New World Order will probably be the next time we see Bucky or maybe Thunderbolts, whichever one. I want a scene where he wakes up without his arm and was like, "Where the hell did my arm go?" Because Nebula took it from him.
I forgot about that in the special. That's right. That was the big thing. She got on Bucky's arm. Oh God. And
Uh,
whenever we get those movies, got writer strike. I'm waiting to hear the news on all that shit.
yeah, that's right. Oh damn. Um, the Philip Seymour Hoffman Award, Best Performance. Who gets the performance award?
I had two names. This was tough. I have two names I'm deciding on. This one's tough. Because the other ones I eliminated because I was like, you know what? I had Michael Rooker, but I was like, nah, the sequel, Guardians 2 is really Michael Rooker's film, in my opinion. And then I had Rocket Raccoon for, Bradley Cooper. I was like, no, the third one's his movie. I can't put him down. So it didn't become a toss up between Chris Pratt and Dave Bautista, who I felt like this was both of their movies. And with this one, I'm going to go Chris Pratt. I think, taking into account, no one thought Andy from fucking Parks and Rec was the guy for the job. We all went, really? The goofball in Parks and Rec? And look, maybe I'm just someone that likes controversy, I guess. I don't give two shits what people think about him in his personal life. I know he's like oddly controversial in his personal life for whatever fucking reason. Um, you know, I've heard he's not a bad guy to work with and things like that. Like, so I actually don't really. It's one of the few times I don't get it. I don't understand. But
I
yeah, he loves Jesus.
Let me lay it out for you. So here's what happened. A few years ago, he commented about a church he had visited once that turned out to be a highly anti-gay church. He didn't belong to that congregation. He had just been there once. And he's been trying to escape that shit ever since. Because he suddenly got lumped into crazy conservative psycho religious nut job, which he's not. So that's all it is. There's really no real controversy surrounding him. They just people want to take him down because he said he'd been to that church.
Okay, people are idiots.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, that's dumb. I've heard seems like a great guy to work with. Not really, he does his job. He goes home to his wife and kid. So nothing wrong with that. But I think the first film belongs to Chris Pratt. He had the most to kind of prove at the time. This was like, he the leading man role, and I mean, yes, an ensemble film, but the leading man role in like coming off of a fucking sitcom, essentially, with Parks and Rec. And I thought he does really good. He does really embody this character that we know Peter Quill to be, which is a little bit of a douchebag, but also he gets the job done. There's a heart there. He's probably not someone you should trust completely. He might not do the job, but his heart's always in the right place, which we see time and again throughout the sequels, and especially obviously in Volume 3 in his pursuit to get, save his, as he calls him, his best friend. If you ask Strax, his second best friend. So yeah, I'm going to give at least this first movie. I'll give it to Chris Pratt, even though Dave Bautista was also fucking up there for me.
You know what's interesting? Every property the Guardians have popped in on, it's somebody's best movie. Like, Guardians 2 is Yondu. Guardians 3 is Rocket. I'd argue Infinity War is Gamora.
Mm-hmm.
I'd argue Endgame is Nebula. I'd argue the holiday special is Mantis.
Yeah.
And I'd argue, personally, Guardians belongs to Dave Bautista.
I'll give it. That's why I said it was like these were the two I was tossing up against.
Yeah. I think at the time, he was primarily a wrestler, not really known for acting or for comedy or anything, and he stole the show immediately, just as this super literal, highly aggressive, nigh unkillable destroyer who only wants to get revenge for his family, but can't help but just be an asshole by accident. And he's hilarious, and he just gets funnier in every movie, but never loses that edge or the seriousness of what he has lost. Like that never leaves the character. It's continuous growth, which is always great. All these characters grow substantially over the course of these three films, which is fantastic because Gunn knows what he's doing. But I give this to Bautista.
That's a good one. And and like so with the girl, you see that in when it comes full circle in the third film with a comment that's made towards the end. I'll save it if you want the spoiler and you've seen them and you listen to when we release the episode we talk about, but a certain comment that's made to him by Nebula at the end of the film that make, and that you're like, oh yeah, that's right. Like you kind of forget for a second, and that comment's made you like, that's right. He has lost something very significant in his life. But yeah, and I'm with you. And this is the thing too. What's cool with Dave Bautista is that I would argue, out of all the characters from this first one, he instantly became, with Groot and probably Rocket, the most loved character.
Yeah.
Like in an instant, people just immediately went, oh my God, we love this character. And it's all because of Dave Bautista, more so than Vin Diesel's Groot. CGI, I think, goes a long way. Sorry, Vin. It's not always about family, is it? Now, but yeah, I would argue, he made this character so lovable that a lot of people, Trax is there's tons of people that will place Trax here as their favorite, if not up there, when it comes to like the group of people, and it's all because of the performance Dave Bautista brings. And I'd argue of the various wrestlers turned actors, I always call it like the big three, and Bautista, The Rock, obviously, who's lost a lot of points with me because of how he's acted with Black Adam, and now doing a fucking Ramona live action remake, he's getting desperate. And John Cena, Bautista is now my personal favorite and Cena's my second because Cena does show that he thinks of James Gunn, that he might actually have more range than I'm giving him credit for, thanks to the Peacemaker show, but he usually really excels when he's comedic. Bautista, and this is a lot to do with having seen Knock at the Cabin this past year, he has range. He can sit there and bring it with the comedy, and he's great with comedy in this role, but also when he needs to be, he has range to be scary. He has range to show, as we saw with the third one, for certain key scenes like the one I mentioned, to show like sadness and emotion. The dude can bring it, and it's proven to be one of the more entertaining wrestlers turned actors, in my opinion.
Calling it now, at some point in the next 10 years or so, he's going to be the first WWE performer to be nominated for an Oscar. For something.
Probably. And The Rock, The Rock's going to have a big hissy fit about it.
He's become my least favorite. I like Batista's acting choices. I like John Cena's character, and I'm kind of tired of The Rock. Like he's just he's a movie star.
I
He's not really an actor.
Yeah, I got tired of him with like the roles he was because it was just him doing the same thing over and over and over and just banking on him being, hey, it's The Rock in this movie.
Yeah.
But then after the whole thing with Black Adam and him just not letting it go, and I'm not gonna say some of his true character, but maybe, like I don't really want to comment too much on like what might have been happening, but some of his character coming out with the reception and stuff like that, and it was like, all right, dude, you're kind of becoming my least favorite now because you have someone like John Cena who seems like a generally good guy and is having fun with his choices, and to his credit, like I said, I don't really know his range. He picks roles that work. You know what I mean? And one of the reasons I think he didn't even work in F9 was not because of him, it was because he got probably told to play a way too serious of a character. And it looks like in the upcoming one, he's going to be a lot more funny. So
Isn't that
hell
interesting
yeah.
that keeps happening in the Fast movies? Like a character's introduced who's like crazy serious and wants to take them all down and like won't suffer no fools. Started with Dwayne Johnson, then Jason Statham, then John Cena, and then on their next appearance, they're like, flexing off a cast or making, prison jokes, or now he's like driving around with his nephew. It's like, what does the charm of this family just rub off on anyone who encounters them?
I guess it's kind of already working with Jason Momoa because he's playing probably one of the more charismatic villains they've ever had. I'm calling right now he's going to carry that entire film, not Vin Diesel. Um,
Vin Diesel hasn't carried a film since the Iron Giant caught that missile.
yeah, I would say Pitch Black, but we all know he is just adamant about not continuing that fucking franchise because family. Um, but yeah, and then with Batista, again, he makes good acting choices. I really liked him in Glass Onion, and obviously Knock at the Cabin. But also again, he seems like a cool dude. Like I saw an interview. He was talking about his tattoos, and apparently he had one tattoo he got for a best friend of his, and then he found out that his best friend's homophobic, and Dave Batista, his mom's a lesbian. And he said once he found that out, he got it covered up immediately. He's like, well, he's not my best friend anymore. I'm not keeping that tattoo. I'm like, damn, that to me, that alone tells me everything about his character.
I agree. I felt the same way when I found out that John Cena has like the record for the most Make-A-Wish Foundation like invitations. Like he's done so much for them. So that shows me what those two guys like really value, and I respect the hell out of that.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't hear about that stuff with The Rock, unfortunately.
Yeah.
He's too busy bemoaning no one went to go see Black Adam.
Yep. Selling tequila, and now he's doing a Moana like live action remake because that movie was a success, and he might be able to get some kid fans back. I don't
Yeah,
know.
he's
I wonder
getting
if
desperate.
Disney even knew about that before he announced it.
Dude, based off what we were kind of hearing about how he was with Warner Brothers and apparently being shady with shit, he may not have told Disney.
I hope he didn't. That would be funny as hell. Okay. Finally, we got the John Carpenter Award, the best scene of the movie. What do you got?
Uh this was another one where God, this movie and most of these categories had like several things picked. Um, and the two I'm picking between was when the Guardians take each other's hands for the Power Stone. That glorious, really cool moment. That was one scene I had written down that was really up there. But I think ultimately I went with basically the entire prison escape sequence was my favorite scene because it's when you really see them for the first time as a team together doing, planning out. I love how it starts where Rocket's explaining what to do, and you see Groot in the background just fucking with stuff. I love when he flings the one thing and it hits the dude in the head in the background. I love then like Trax just walks over and is just looking at him doing his thing. And I love when he pulls the thing out and they all look at Groot and he's just holding it and they're like, oh, we can just do the plan now and improvise as we go along, which is like has been the team's motto since day one. And then yeah, this is just a really fun sequence of seeing them kind of do what they do best, which is improvise their plans on the fly, but still somehow be like a very cohesive team. You know, which we've seen time and again in volume 2 and in volume 3, obviously, that yeah, they never really have a plan, but somehow they just make it all come together. They are like the A team of outer space. Um so this is the same, yeah, so this is the same one was like them kind of breaking out of prison, just our first time seeing them be a team. You get that cool shot where they're in their prison suit and the door opens, they're all standing together. So it's a fun scene. It's a very fun scene.
It is. It's a nice scene. Have you seen the movie Justice League Dark Apocalypse War?
No, I have not.
There's so Groot in these movies, especially in the third movie when it's spoiler alert, but it's revealed he's a little bit more vocal than we've been led to believe. There's a character in Justice League Apocalypse War named it's King Shark. We all remember King Shark from the Suicide Squad. But in this movie,
King Shark was great.
oh, he was fantastic. In this movie, all he can say is King Shark is a shark. That's the only thing he can say. And Captain Boomerang is constantly irritated by this. And when they're at the end of the movie, they're saving the world for some reason, and they're like backed up against a corner. King Shark all of a sudden goes, "It's been an honor fighting with you." And Captain Boomerang goes, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And then it cuts away. So whenever, like, now Groot reminds me of that guy because that was like the funniest version of that I've ever seen.
Oh yeah. Or it's just God, Stallone as King Shark is one of the best goddamn things ever.
I can't believe Gunn finagled that. It's like, hey, you know how people think you talk weird? Would you do that for me? We want to play a possibly mentally challenged shark for me.
I think he was like one of the best fucking characters in that movie. Bird. I love
And
who gave him a walkie-talkie? Get it away from him.
that movie deserves so much more love. Oh my god.
Oh, dude, this Suicide Squad is fucking great. Suicide Squad sucks donkey dick, but the Suicide Squad by James Gunn is fantastic.
I agree. So I did go with the Guardians holding the Power Stone sequence.
Glad I picked the prison sequence then. Diversity. Nice.
There you go. I love, seeing them defeat Ronan, the dance off fake out thing. I love that. There's a great outtake on
what are you doing? Distracting you, bitch.
There's a great outtake on the deleted scenes where Star-Lord starts doing a dance off and Lee Pace goes, "Well, it's on," and then he starts dancing. it's hilarious to see Ronan serve. So I'm glad they did that. They throw it to Batista and he starts doing that like leg behind, pulling your leg dance from the 90s.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that sequence, just watching them all, hold the very essence of power and share it together and be able to contain this energy. It shows just how strong they really are. And even Ronan's like, "What the hell is this? Like, how are you doing that?" And then he blows up.
Well, then you get that great scene where like Gamora says, "Hold my hand," and it flashes back to what Peter's saying. And then, when he missed his chance, as I've had my fair share of like funerals and stuff like that I have to go to as a kid. So I understand that feeling of like that regret of not doing something that you had a chance to do. And so having that flashback and that connection back to him actually taking the time this time to say like, I'm going to do it. And it's a very beautiful moment.
I love all of them like creeping up to him to like help. Gamora does it, then Drax does it. Even Rocket comes up and is like, "I need to help them." Like it's great to see that kind of solidarity.
Yeah, well, because then you see I talked about her with the Star-Lord character, he can be a douchebag at times, absolutely, but you see right there he ultimately his heart's in the right place because he is so quick to jump and grab that stone, knowing fully well what it will do to him. But if it means not having it in the hands of the guy who's going to destroy the entire universe, yeah, let's take that bet. And, does it without even hesitation and not knowing that, obviously what we find out in volume 2 or at the end of this film, which leads into like the storyline for volume 2, that he's a half celestial. So, they see in that moment, like, okay, this guy's like the real, not to sound like I guess the best way to say it is like he's the real deal. Like this guy will fucking take a goddamn bullet just to save the universe.
Yeah. That's yeah, those are the great moments when somebody, the self-sacrifice moment where you get to see somebody's character. We got to see that with Iron Man in the first Avengers. See with Captain America all the goddamn time because the dude's a champion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Uh, Sweet. Well, that was fun. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities for awards. It's a favorite. 5 out of 5 stars for me on Letterboxd.
Yeah,
Uh,
pretty much the same. All the sequels are like anywhere from like 4.5 to 5. I don't literally nothing dips below 4.5. This is a great series.
it really is. Uh, but like if we did this next week, all our awards could be different. It's pretty much like whatever we're feeling at the time. Uh, so with
Yeah.
that, let's take it
What
to
a feeling we're
Letterboxd.
hooked on.
Nice. Let's take it to Letterboxd and see what's in the box.
What's in the fucking box? Give me the gun.
So Guardians of the Galaxy has a 3.8 out of 5 on Letterboxd. It's pretty good. That's nice.
Good. High praise on Letterboxd.
Yeah. I got 4 reviews here. 3 really positive ones and 1 that's just like, Jesus. You don't like to have fun.
We got someone that got hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Someone got hurt. Yes, I love those.
I'll save that one for last. So this first one's from Blaine Lamada. I am Groot. I'm still trying to wipe this goddamn silly grin off my face. James Gunn, you weird little genius, you. I'd put this up with the Avengers and the original Iron Man. There is more personality in this film than most summer blockbusters could ever dream of. And again, I am Groot. 4.5 stars.
Oh, yeah. I agree with that.
Just loved you, weird little genius. That's such a strange kind of compliment. I love it.
It really is.
This next one's from Dean Walker. Without a doubt, the best MCU film and one of my favorite films ever. Each character is introduced so fully and developed so neatly. They mesh together amazingly, and just the character work in general is superb. 5 stars. You're damn right, Dean.
Yeah. Thanks, Dean.
Yeah, thank you. Figured you'd like this one. This is from Matt Lynch. I like Lloyd Kaufman cameos way more than Stan Lee cameos. I could probably have watched The Last Shot for a few more minutes. 3.5 stars.
I like both cameos, but I actually forgot. I was like, where does Lloyd Kaufman pop up in this movie? And then we got to the prison. He was like, oh, there he is. He's one of the prisoners.
Very nice. Okay, so this last one is from Mike D'Angelo. It's a long one, so here we go. Half-assed. That's the first sentence. It wants to be Buckaroo Banzai, but that film was a complete flop in theatrical release, so Marvel chose, wisely judging from the opening weekend box office receipts, to graft intermittent goofiness onto a dully conventional superhero narrative. Still fat drops of rain in the desert, to be sure, but I'm too familiar with what a truly great version of this concept looks like to lose my shit over the ass-covering corporate approximation. I love this. Like, I know what a great movie is, so trust me, I've seen better. Like, oh boy, okay.
I've seen the good version of this. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the porn version of it, but that doesn't mean it's great.
Oh, he's not anywhere near done.
Oh boy.
Also, Rocket is mostly annoying, for which the movie attempts to compensate by making Gamora almost completely personality-free. Dave Bautista, of whom I'd never previously heard, gives the funniest performance, though that's partly just because I know Pratt's moves. Admittedly, I'm being overly grouchy here, in response to what I perceive as a mass overreaction. The appearance of the title in gigantic screen-covering letters as Quill throws out his arms to come and get your love's first hey, may be the most purely joyous moment I've experienced at the movies all year. Just wish the commitment to that tone had been absolute rather than hesitant and wishy-washy. 3 stars. Well, since you know movies so well, since you've seen every good version of this, I'd love to know what that is.
He's not the life of the party ever, is he?
No. I just picture We did we did Scott Pilgrim versus the World on the podcast a few weeks ago, and there's a line in that movie that you hear somebody
So,
saying,
so I'm still sad about your judgment on that movie, but proceed.
it's not the time or the place. I have paid my dues for that. But there's a line that some guy says in the crowd where he says, "No, no, no, the first album is so much better than the first album." It's that this has that guy vibes written all over it. Of like, no, 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 this isn't really the Guardians of the Galaxy. You want a movie like this that's good? Oh, well, let me show you 1973's whatever the fuck, starring Who Gives a Shit.
Yeah, he's a contrarian. He's a fucking like, oh, you guys like this? It's stupid.
Have fun.
Like, not
It's okay to have
tone.
fun. People enjoy it.
Yeah, and like, what do you mean half committed, dude? Have you not seen James Gunn's in interviews? Like this is his baby.
Yeah, half commit. Gamora's personality free. Rocket's annoying. It's like you were just in a bad mood,
Yeah,
weren't you?
I'm like, I'm sorry you don't think Zoe Saldana is both amazing and badass. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, I'm sorry. I wish you could feel what I feel. Well, that's what's in the box.
I mean, look,
This
not
guy.
Yeah, I will say it's not like Zoe Saldana's like wiping away tears from this review. Like she's been in full $1 billion grossing films. Like she's doing fine.
Well,
did you read about that? Like she's been like
yeah,
the most like highest grossing films of all time. It's like Jesus Christ.
Well, yeah, Avatar 2, Infinity War, Endgame. None of the Guardians movies hit $1 billion, but they all came pretty damn close.
Pretty damn close. The Star Trek films were super successful. She knows how to pick like her fucking sci-fi movies. She is good at picking them.
That is very true. Yeah, she's good at that. What's kind of funny? I never realized this, but in Avatar, she's blue. In Guardians, she's green. And Uhura's costume is red.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I think the only side stuff she made on sci-fi was when she did Chronicles of Riddick. But I mean, she was, that was decades ago. She was starting out. We all make mistakes.
Yeah. She did the first Pirates movie too, and like is the one character who never showed up again.
Yeah. I always forget until I'm watching. I'm like, oh yeah, Zoe Saldana pops up in this movie.
Well, before we head out here, let's go ahead and rank these fuckers. There's 3 Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Where do they stand? Worst to best. Worst being incredibly subjective.
Yeah, you keep doing these on me on film franchises that are like I don't really hate any of them. Like,
well, that's where the interesting stuff comes from. We all know what the bad movies are. It's hard to do this with good movies.
Well, this is going to be kind of easy for me only because I've now seen the first and the third one very recently because I saw the third one when it came out. First one for this episode. Or yeah, and it sound whatever. But that has been about stuff since the sequel, even though I liked it much more than I know. Some people kind of have their gripes with the second one. I still find it be great. So with that in mind, I want to put Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 at 3, just because I've only seen it the one time since it came out. I have not had a chance to watch it again. But again, what I remember is really liking it. Still just as funny. Kurt Russell as fucking Ego. The Living Planet was the best casting just ever. And obviously, Yondu's farewell at the end is still something that, oh man, I was bawling in theater. That's such a beautiful moment. But that, I think forever to this day, any MCU fan will, if they come to you and say, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all, they know exactly what the fuck you're talking about. And then the other line he said, well, he may have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy boy. And I'm like, oh God, Yondu. Yeah, so Volume 2 is really good, but just because it's been a while since I've seen it, since I had to rewatch, that's gonna be my number 3. With that, I will go ahead and put the original at number 2. That's right, original number 2. I know this is weird because usually I'm like the original is going number 1 because it's the first one. I'm gonna put the original on number 2. And I'm putting the New Kid on the Block, Volume 3 at number 3. I cannot express how much. I think it's because so many fucking times we've seen trilogies or movie series that cannot stick the goddamn landing at all. And for once, in a rare scenario, we had a case where it stuck the damn landing. I'm very happy with where everything went with Volume 3, how it all concluded, and to the point that, like, you know, obviously there's a very good chance they're going to find a way. Marvel, Disney will find a way to continue Guardians of the Galaxy somehow. It will never feel the same if that day ever comes, and I will accept it. But I would also be fine knowing that, hey, 3's it. That's it. We're done, because it's such a perfect fucking ending. It sticks the landing, which is very big on me. Thank you for sticking landing. So yeah, I'll put the third one at number 1, and yeah, I'll put Guardians Volume 1 at number 2. A very strong debut that just me did have that was only busted by a very strong conclusion.
I am flabbergasted. I am in pure shock. I cannot believe that. Well, all right. Okay. I mean, yeah, they're all good movies, but damn, I didn't know you felt that strongly about the new one.
I really like the new one. I think it's because, dude, like, ever since No Way Home came out, I've just been going to Marvel films and numb. Just like, okay, this was decent. It was whatever.
Yeah.
Everyone, like, Black Panther, which should have been like fucking epic with everything kind of going into it, knowing what we were knowing going into it, was incredibly just like mediocre at best. Great tribute to Chadwick Boseman. Movie itself was just so mediocre. You know, obviously all our movies we mentioned, I'm forgetting the movies because they just fucking faded for me. They didn't stick. Guardians was the first one that made me feel the way No Way Home did, of like, this is why I watch MCU films. This is why I get excited for MCU films, because this feeling I'm getting, the enjoyment I'm getting watching this film and going, yes, like, I just hope I don't have to wait a long ass time to have this feeling. Well, Writer Strike, I'm probably going for a very long ass time to have this feeling again. So fuck me, right?
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you had that experience. My number 3 is the truly great version of this concept that Mike D'Angelo says he's seen. That's got to be pretty good, right? So I'm gonna put it at my number 3.
All right.
That just amazes me. I just love the arrogance of, like, I know what a truly great movie is. It's like, trust me on this. Doesn't give me the title of that movie, just says I know what it is. Yeah,
I know what it is. It's not this.
Number 3 for me is Guardians 3.
Okay.
I love it. Thought it was great. It's that Adam Warlock shit that keeps it from being truly great. For me.
Okay. And see, like, I'm able to forgive it enough. It's still a quibble with me. It's a minor fucking quibble. I'm going to forgive it enough.
I would, if it was just like a character in the movie, I'd be like, oh, okay. But the way they built him up at the end of 2 was like to be this crazy, powerful force, and I just feel like, meh. But
yeah.
Other than that, I think it's a great send off. Number 2 is Guardians 2. Great movie. Always makes me cry. I love that they got Kurt Russell to play essentially evil 80s dad. That's just perfect.
Yeah, you're like one of the most badass quintessential actors of the 80s to play like a bad 80s dad.
I love that brief moment where he turns into David Hasselhoff out of anger. I love that Hasselhoff agreed to do that.
Yeah.
Two's got a great story. It's really fun. It's really emotional. The ending always brings me to tears. Yondu finally, stepping up and doing the right thing. But number 1 is just 2. The first movie's so fucking perfect. It's like it's a Swiss watch. Everything works where it should. Like, there's no weak point. Every character has a great introduction, great value to the team. Got a okay villain in Ronan, but I've learned to appreciate him more over the years. And sets up Thanos as the big bad going forward. You get the collector's scene explaining the Infinity Stones. You get a fucking Howard the Duck cameo. I mean, it's just tops. So that's my ranking. Part 3, part 2, part 1.
Fair enough. And then, yeah, mine was part 2, 1, Part 3. Or I'm sorry, Volume 2, 1, Volume 3.
Oh, yes, pardon me. A holiday special, if I had to throw that in there, probably between 3 and 2.
Yeah, I probably put it between 2 and 1
Yeah.
for me. It was a really good look, I know we've talked about the shows before, the MCU shows kind of not being the best thing ever, but the 2 specials they did were fucking stellar. Werewolf by Night was great, and so was this holiday specials. Marvel, if you're hearing this, either A, improve your shows or just do holiday specials, because apparently you can only do one or the other.
You know what really, the one thing that irritated me about the specials?
What?
I know, like, after I saw them, I realized, oh, so Marvel can just tell a condensed, really good story in 40 minutes. So we didn't need 6 episodes of bullshit for these shows that nobody liked. You could have just told a 40-minute story with the highlights of each of those shows, and they probably would have been all pretty good.
Yeah. Because both their holiday specials, were fucking great. I'm really impressed with Werewolf by Night. I remember going like, damn, Marvel, okay, black and white, like kind of pushing the gore, like here we go.
Yeah, me too. With the exception of Loki, maybe, and definitely What If, all the rest of those shows you could definitely need whittle them down to 40 minutes.
Yes.
You give us the highlights. Moon Knight especially. So yeah, that irritated me because I'm like, you could have done this the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, I still liked what we got. This was fun. I enjoyed this going after Guardians of the Galaxy. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you like the show, feel free to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Filmgazm Productions. If you want to suggest films for us to check out, you can email us at filmgazm@gmail.com, or, of course, send us a message through the socials. Check out our Letterboxd accounts for daily reviews. You can search me at Connor95, and in my friends list, you can find the rest of the team. Check out our website, filmgazm.com, where I have a link to that Letterboxd if you want to read reviews. You can also find articles, trailers of upcoming films, and every episode of our show. If you'd like to become a monthly donor to Filmgazm, feel free to click on the link in the episode description. From there, click on Support This Podcast. You can choose to donate $1 a month, $5 a month, or $10 a month. And all donations go right back into the show. We really appreciate it. Thanks to the entire Filmgazm team for their constant friendship and contributions to the show. Thanks to Cooley Cal for our awesome theme music, and thanks to you for checking out the show. Remember that nobody is 100% a dick, and family is more important than blood. Take it easy, keep watching movies, and we'll see you next week.